of Indigo with your infinitely curious hosts, Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Our show is broadcast live at 9:30 p.m. Wednesdays. Socio-spiritual topics are laced with humor as we discuss weird stuff in a rational way. Learn more about us in our first episode, The Prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now.
Good evening.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'm staring at the lights. Don't go to the light, Carol Ann.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. I was talking with a friend at work today, and she was asking me some questions about, like if you had all the money and if money wasn't an issue, what would you do? And we were sharing stuff. Hello, Amy. It's good to see you. And from Estonia. Wow, thank you. We're honored. Appreciate y'all tuning in and saying hello. But she said, if money wasn't an issue, what would you do? And we were bopping things around. And then I was talking about, like, I really enjoy doing. I said, I love being on movie sets. I love doing stuff around when people are being creative. And then I showed her some couple of videos where I had written the stories and made, had friends make them, or the stuff that I've done with other people. And then I said, you know about my podcast that I do with a friend of mine? And she said, well, I heard you talk about it. And I was showing her, and we were scanning through, and she said, oh, that one looks interesting. And it was one about, I don't know, controlling your thoughts or something like that. And so she started watching it, and I said, I'm going to warn you, don't turn, because she's in an office. And I said, don't turn the volume too high because you never know what's going to come out of her mouth. And then I also told her, I said, as she was listening, I said, now you're going to learn out just how weird I really am. But I hear her giggling and laughing, and, and it was fun because I don't go back and watch them. I don't really get into watching myself, but it was fun to watch and see us cutting up. And it's like, okay, that's not so bad.
It's always weird to watch yourself later.
It's like I just feels weird, and I try not to pay attention to myself too much.
Yeah, get away from that critical tendency in the 3D world, right? For sure.
Exactly. So, speaking of that, I guess we could introduce what tonight's show is about. Yes. No, that's our whole month there. Wait a minute, let me hide that. Okay.
Which has a change? Oh, you changed it. Good.
I did change it. So, yeah, we can talk about it later or now or whatever. But
at the end is fine. Yeah.
Okay, so here tonight, multidimensional reality. Did anybody catch the planets in the background and all that stuff? And
the
marbles.
Cool.
We're going to talk about what it means to be multidimensional. Theories about alternate universes, timelines, and more bounced around, yet it's hard to grasp what that would mean for us as individuals. We'll share experiences and information and explore the possibilities. So we appreciate y'all being here for that. Again, when Anne and Amy said, hey, please say hello because we can't see who's out there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Always type your hello, namaste, bless you, FY, whatever you want to put. But so another way of looking at tonight's topic was in the short blurb that I added when I reposted on different groups was multidimensional reality. Why should you care? And the reason is because it affects you in every aspect of your life 24/7. All the way back through history, and it will all the way through to the future. And it's a way of looking at reality that most people haven't really delved into beyond a creative bent. And ironically, it's in your face lately. And some people can identify it and go, "Oh, that's what's going on with the weirdness." And other people are just, "I feel like I'm in a sci-fi movie for just 10 seconds here. What's up?" And it's kind of weird. Yeah, and it's kind of weird. So, my first thought is let's talk about some of the symptoms that show or demonstrate that multidimensionality is becoming more and more prevalent, and there's evidence of it. What are some examples of evidence of it? And I've got a few off the top of my head, but Iris, can you start us off? Unless you
Oh,
want me
you
to.
start us off, so that way I'll follow suit. I don't know what, because I
No
can think of
worries.
stuff, but I want to kind of keep the conversation in sync.
No worries. No worries. The first example is probably one of the more common ones, and that's objects disappearing and reappearing when you've left them somewhere, such as your car keys, your plate, your cat, your dog, your kid, your shoes, your book, things, and even bigger things, doors move from where you left them. And some people chalk it up to supernatural things like ghosts or whatnot. But that's the impermanence of multidimensionality shows up quickly when we notice that stuff, physical things, disappear from where we left them and reappear, or whole sequences change. Another example, the Mandela effect.
Thinking that, yeah.
Yeah, expound on that one. We've done a show on that one, but can you
Yeah, we
synopsize
have.
Mandela effect
And we've
for?
mentioned it in other shows. But yeah, the Mandela effect came about because some people were talking one time, and they were talking about Nelson Mandela had died. And somebody else said, no, he died in prison. And they said, no, he got out of prison and he's just now dying. And they thought he had died years before. And there were distinctly two groups of people who remember him two different ways. And even since then, some people remember him going on and becoming president of South Africa. Yeah.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember
And
that.
so it's like, did he die in prison? And you hear the news as it gets added on, and it's like, but no, this already happened. So they started noticing, and this woman created a website about it and all that stuff, and just started documenting things that were coming up that people were going, something has changed.
Changed.
Where
Yeah.
people know it was this way, and those people, just as sure as they know it was one way, other people were just as sure that it was another way. And so over time, it's gotten changed, and like the Berenstain or Berenstein bears are one of those things. Do you remember Miss Stain or Stein?
How you spell
Um,
Cool Whip has changed over time on the label. A lot of food labels have
Chick-fil-A.
changed.
A lot of people remember
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A being
changed.
CHIC-FIL-A. No, there's a K in there. When did they add the K?
And
Um,
with and without dashes as well. But
and I
yeah,
ha-
that's another good example. What's
and I
another
had a
one?
friend, the one of my favorites is a friend of mine, very dear friend. She's always following what's the latest in the Nelson Mandela, and she was telling me one day, she said, Iris, she said, somebody came in and told me that in the Bible, she said, you remember the story about the lion lays with and I said, lamb. And she said, right, everybody remembers the lion and the lamb.
Lemon lamb.
And she said, it has changed to the wolf and the lamb. And I said, I've never heard of a wolf and a lamb laying, in the Bible. And she
Story.
said, I've got a Bible that I have had ever since I was a little girl, and there's pictures in there. And next to that scripture about the lion and the lamb is a picture of a lion and lamb laying together. Somebody came in to her business and was telling her that it had changed to wolf and lamb. And she's like, oh, horse hockey. And she went home, opened her Bible, and there was a picture of a wolf and a lamb. And she said the
Wow.
scripture had changed and the picture had changed. And she was like freaking out.
Yeah, that would creep people out big time. That big
Yeah.
time. One of the more shocking ones for me that I figured out that I was like, no way, no way. Do you remember Publishers Clearinghouse?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 80s, even the 70s? What was the name of the jolly guy that came to your door with your big fat check saying you're a winner?
Ed
Publisher
McMahon.
Ed McMahon. That's what I remember too. If you go online and say, was Ed McMahon ever a part of Publishers Clearinghouse Award presentation? No. And there's nowhere.
His picture was on that stuff.
It was on
It-
the envelope. His face was on the
Yeah.
envelopes of Publishers Clearinghouse back in the day. And recently they've picked up a guy who MCs Family Feud. He has a mustache. He's bald. African American guy.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey. Yeah, Steve Harvey does it now. Ed McMahon spelled Ed McMahon. McMahon, the old European, I think Scottish, maybe Irish way of spelling it. Ed McMahon is gone in the Mandela effect. And that just blew my mind. That's like saying Santa Claus is now a pumpkin.
Yeah, or a pumpkin.
Yeah. I was about to say elf, but no, they always said he was an elf. But that'll change. That'll change too. Santa will become way something else. But anyway, we need to do a show about the Krampus.
We did.
About just, oh, that's right. And we did it with all the other funky stuff too. The Krampus is cool. Guys, go check out that episode. Yeah, there's a bunch of Christmas horror stories from around the world. That's really cool. Krampus is just one.
I think that's what we called the show, was Christmas Horrors.
We haven't disappeared in the Mandela effect yet.
No.
I'm proud of us. Woohoo! Here we go. We need a bell ring. So,
there, how to get mine.
There you go. You got yours. Absolutely. So, we're looking at multidimensionality, and those are some of the more concrete examples. But people, some of you guys know this about us, and some of you may not, but both Iris and I are professional medium psychics, life coaches, and we help people all the time from an intuitive level. And we both have done this for decades. And there's other evidence of multidimensionality besides things and news and labels and wording shifting and famous people disappearing or jumping in to the picture. In a day-to-day basis, the reason for this show is that actually it's stepping up and it's making people feel crazy. It's making them feel chaotic as the concept of multidimensionality is turning less and less multiple and more, what was the word? Not congealed, but congealed, assimilated, merged is another one. Guys, to sort of give you a visual of what we're talking about, there's lots of theories in scientific terms, but the one that seems to be the most visual, that works the most, we've talked about it before in the show, is called the membrane theory. And the membrane theory gives you the idea that each timeline is a sheet or a membrane of fabric, space, time, energy, and all that stuff. And there's multiple sheets, my hand being a sheet, and there's lots of sheets.
Wavelength.
And wavelength, because they all move. And so wavelengths show up too. And what happens is now these membranes, I've got two of them right here in my hands. These membranes are getting closer and closer, and they're touching and they're crossing over. Sometimes, not always, but they're a lot more likely to touch or cross over. And that's a visual way to give you an idea of what multidimensionality stems from. Multidimensionality itself refers to the fact that we as sentient beings we are designed to live with, cope with, explore, and exploit multi-dimensions. So what I'm saying is that most of us are used to living on just one dimension. Well, now we're having to learn to live on multiples. There's another one back here and another one back here that's coming in, and on and on and on. So multidimensional reality is your version of reality is actually having to deal with, cope with, interact with multiple membranes of realities that are touching and weaving and waving across each other. And since they're waving and moving, we are talking frequency, which is the magic and the voice and the muscle of the universe is wavelength and frequency. Yeah, well, membranes got that. They waving in frequency and
Well,
and we're on them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and you have multiple timelines, but you also have higher vibrations that also come into play with this.
That's another way to look at this. Yeah, there's not just one way to look at multidimensional reality, which we're going to continue telling you more. Thank you for that segue into, please continue.
I was going to share this book. Yeah, I think this is a good point.
3D, 4D, and 5D. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell this book gets used a lot because I got all my notes stuck in it. But Dale Stacy wrote Simply Shaman Mystery School. And it's interdimensional shamanism, 3D, 4D, 5D, and beyond. And what is really cool is, if I can find my bookmark now between these pages, and I got two things I want to share with y'all here. One page is about interdimensional awareness, and okay, all right. I'm just making sure.
Amy gave us a lovey smiley face. Yeah, she likes what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Interdimensional awareness. He says everything, everyone, and everything is dimensional. All of us are dimensional, intradimensional, interdimensional, transdimensional, and multidimensional. Always have been, currently are, and will be forever. We are infinite beings. If we think, live in, with dimensional terms about everything, we can interact consciously and be fully aware of the wholeness of life. He goes on to say, when looking at the human body, and I love this because I never really thought about it. When looking at the human body figuratively through the eyes of dimensional awareness, we are a collection of approximately 100 trillion cells. Trillion with a T. Each cell is a holder of the master plan for our body, the DNA. Each cell has a specific function on a certain part of the body. Each cell operates with a unique perspective of duty and purpose. We are a factory of literally 100 trillion physical dimensions of awareness. Imagine adding and itemizing our other faculties to the mix, such as mental thoughts, emotional feelings, and spiritual intuitions. We are definitely multidimensional or dimensional, sorry. And then he goes further because this is about 3D, 4D, 5D, and beyond. He said, "Oh, Amy says she did the class with Dale and Jeannie. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In the 3D, he compares 3, 4, and 5D. Just this is sort of in his overview, which again, you can see all my highlighting and all that stuff. But he says 3D. He talks about self-awareness and service. You know, we're more in service to others as 3D. And our earth consciousness state of mind is that God exists and God created us. When we go to 4D, our service is more of sensing, feeling, knowing love in every moment for ourselves and for others. And God is in everyone, everything and everywhere. So we go from 3D to where God exists and created us to 4D to where God is in everyone and everything and everywhere to 5D, where our service is to be love with unique expressions.
Spirit.
And God is everyone, everything, and everywhere. God is us, and we are God. So that's kind of a great way of explaining that the multidimensionality, as well as the frequency and the yeah, I'm gonna stop
Across
with
3, 4, and 5. Yeah.
that. Right,
To relate it to that 3D terminology that we're stuck with for now until
right.
we're all telepathic. Yeah. Yeah, that's Dale and Jeannie talk about that and teach it quite a lot. And Dale's book is awesome. Highly recommend. Go get it.
Yes, and just look up Earth Star.
Spiritual Center.
Thank you, Spiritual Center. Sorry, the words just
.org.
went right out of my head. Yeah.
EarthStarSpiritualCenter.org, and you can learn more about all of it, the book and them too, and what else they offer.
Yes. And they're going to be at our conference in March.
Yes, Heal the Healer. They are guest speakers in that one. So along the same lines as what you're talking about there, other aspects of experiencing multidimensionality, that my angle here is to help people, our listeners, current live ones, and in the future, those listening on recording, welcome. You are time travelers because you're listening in the future, and I'm talking to you from the past.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one expression of time travel, is another expression of multidimensionality. So let me be more specific there. Listening to a recording in the past is by definition a time travel. Get this, photography is time travel. You are experiencing, not only do you see, but if you know people and you know the situation in the photograph, you'll actually revisit feelings, memories, you'll hear conversations, you'll hear music, you'll remember how something smells. That is time travel as well. Photography and audio recordings for us.
Another one is just mentally remembering, because how often do you kind of fall into a daydream state and you're suddenly back in that moment?
And that's exactly what I was talking about and where I was going to next. That's
Oh,
perfect.
sorry about that. Okay.
No. It's a meditation. It's self-hypnosis when you're going. You guys, how many times have you been behind the wheel of a car and it's on the highway, nothing, and you end up, your brain drifts off and it travels without you. Memories, daydreaming about the future, daydreaming about the past, daydreaming about what's next. And then you realize you've gone miles and miles and even taken a few turns automatically. Well, that's a state of hypnosis. That's a hypnotic state that is technically a meditation as well. Any kind of meditating can let you energetically, as well as mentally or emotionally, and sometimes physically, let you travel or go across dimensions with grace and ease, which is one of the ultimate goals, which is one of the things we're trying to learn with all this multidimensionality, is how to actively be multidimensional with grace and ease. Well, learning curve, guys. Give yourself baby steps. Give yourself a learning curve. We're just at the beginning of humanity remembering that we're multidimensional. So, yeah, you get to remember, relearn what your subconscious and unconscious already knows, and now it's coming into your consciousness. And more of humanity will pick that up as we go through the years. But bringing it back to here, other expressions of multidimensionality is reincarnation, especially since we tend to reincarnate in the same family, to the point that you are actually your own ancestor. All right. You are your great grandparents, great great grandparents, great aunts and uncles, in-laws, however, cousins, third, fourth, seventh time removed, however you want to explain it. But reincarnation is a type of time travel as well, bringing consciousness across generations. And so it almost makes it time travel as well. And there are movies about that. But before we shift into that, another more scientific way to look at multidimensionality, off the top of our heads, we came up with two very obvious examples about the fabric of space and time and how fluid it is. That, again, just like the membranes, fabric, those membranes are space and time. All right, that's one of the things, and energy is what those things are made of, which are actually all the three things are actually one thing. They're all energy, but that's a whole nother discussion for the sake of conversation. Wormholes. All right, in sci-fi, we go through wormholes all the time to reappear in another dimension or an alternate dimension or an alternate timeline. All right, depending on which sci-fi show you're watching. Different wormholes do different things. By the way, the central black sun at the middle of our Milky Way galaxy, we're a tiny little speck on one arm of a whole galaxy turning. Well, the sun in the middle is actually a black hole or a wormhole or a black star. It's all called that. So guess what we're spinning around? Back to here, another expression I said there were two. Quantum entanglement. Look it up. I think we've talked about it several times on this show, but quantum entanglement is multidimensional living. In short, one object is quantumly or subatomically attached to another object that can be anywhere from inches to thousands of miles away, even across time far away. And when one thing happens to one of the items, the other item reacts the exact same way. And there's tons of scientific experiments to prove how that happens and that it does happen continuously every day, all day long. Such as somebody donates blood and you experience something, the blood donor recipient experiences that blood anomaly as well. And y'all may never have met each other and you may never meet each other. But there's all kinds of proof for it there. But that's just one expression of quantum entanglement. There's tons and tons more. Feel free to look it up. Quantum entanglement is fascinating. You can actually experience it. By the way, if you go to our spoon bending episode, yeah, that's actually quantum entanglement too. Doing the entanglement tango. Yes, Sherry, that's exactly what it is. It's very much a tango.
I love hearing about people who are recipients of organ donation,
like heart. Oh yeah, there's good stories. You got one?
Yeah, they'll have stories like, where they never liked a beer before and now they're suddenly craving it, or they have these weird memories that they never thought they had. And our cells hold memories, and it's like they'll have these thoughts and they'll go, where did that come from? That never happened.
Every single cell is a complete library of everything that exists.
Yeah,
every cell in the human body is an Akashic record. Yeah, people talk about crystals or that. Well, guess what? Humans are that too. Yeah. Well, we are crystalline. I'm glad you brought that up. I know a story about a man that was a heart donor recipient, and he was an African American man, and they were interviewing him about how has your life changed since you're doing well, but has any other aspect of your life changed since surgery? And he chuckled and he said, yeah. He said, there's something really weird. He said, I'm not being racist at all. He says, but the man who died and I got his heart was a white guy. Obviously, I'm black. He said, never until after my surgery was I ever attracted to white women. And now I'm fascinated by them. And he's like, and it's a little bit of an issue, but he said, white women just didn't click for me. That wasn't my thing. No big deal. Suddenly I'm fascinated since surgery. Well, it makes sense if you find out that his heart was a married white guy who loved his wife and had a good time, apparently, as a young man. So these kinds of stories happen all the liver, transplants, all of them. These things happen all the time, but the heart is actually a secondary brain. So it has a bunch of significant memories in it, and as well as that's your center of intuition
Linda
as well.
commented, yes, cell memory and chronic health issues. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are all interrelated, and those are all expressions of quantum entanglement. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to shift on. Please feel free to check out past episodes on Iris's website, iriscarter.com/EIO directory. And there's search function, EOI.
Yeah.
Did I say it backwards?
Yeah.
Eyes of Indigo.
We're not farmer and we're not farm McDonald. We're old McDonald.
EIO. EOI, Eyes of Indigo.
Yeah.
So thank you. And another expression of our multidimensional reality occurs every day and every night in our dream states. When you sleep, you leave this reality. You leave this dimension. And your brain, or rather not your brain, but your mind, your brain is the hard drive, your mind is the actual programs which exist in your energetic field around your head. Friend owns a winery with EIO. You probably got donkeys on there, chickens or something. But your mind actually exists outside of your physical brain. Your physical brain is basically an anchor point, and it houses your pituitary and your pineal and happy things like that, and other chakras. But your dream state occurs all through there, and you actually every night go visit other dimensions, which is why dreams can get a little bit weird. Other times they are reenactments of what you've already recently experienced in your current life. Well, the theory is basically that there are millions and millions and millions of dimensions going on, and every second another dimension, a different choice. For any choice you make or default to, another choice would have been another reality, another dimension. So we know about that with the butterfly effect. One choice you make leads to a cascade effect that doesn't happen in that choice sequence, in that cascade, for example, using that as an example. And it's called the butterfly effect when talking about the cascade of reactions. So each cascade is another dimensional event. And in your dream state, you could be living on those alternate realities, experiencing, living, being aware of those other choices. Other times, Iris is going to tell you a story. You're actually leaving this dimension with intention.
Yeah. Okay. Now y'all are gonna find out how weird I really am, right? And just real quick, Amy, when she said that her friend has a winery called EIEIO, his name is Jay McDonald.
His name is McDonald. McDonald. Perfect. He has a wine farm.
Yeah. I discovered a few years ago, I was having a series of dreams about places that were vivid, and I was visiting these places. I knew where they were, the layout of the area.
Familiar.
Some of them were similar to places I had been. Some of them were brand new. But I would go to different ones, and then I would go back to them. And when I would go back, a few
You mean in
changes
multiple dreams?
multiple
different
dreams,
nights.
different nights. And I was cycling through these different places at different times. And it wasn't like an exact pattern, it wasn't like, oh, I did this Mondays, this Tuesdays, this Wednesday. It was, I'd have
random.
Yeah, randomly the same, but it was the same repeated places, multiple places. One of them being in outer space, like out in space. And I would see the perspective from inside a ship. I would see the perspective from outside on the planet, a bare planet. There was an exchange. People, sometimes I'm flying a plane myself. Sometimes I'm on a commuter plane and I know the airport, and like I'd go back and I'd remember how to get up to the different levels so that I could catch my other commuter flight, and I would remember what the city looked like underneath
That's
before we take off.
incredible detail to
I mean,
remember. Yeah.
very detailed. I mean, and every time I have a dream, I go, oh, I'm there tonight. Okay. And progressively over the past several years, these places have grown. Like where maybe in one area there was a new neighborhood being built, and it's grown up and trees are growing and people are populating it and more stores are coming in the area. Or on that interplanetary, there's like a space station going on around there now, and they're doing experiments and stuff out there. There's, and a whole science lab and everything on this thing. It just keeps growing and things change. And I'm going in and checking in, and they changed that road because that needed to be changed or whatever. What happened a couple of weeks ago was I woke up and I sent Margot a picture, and I forgot to upload it so I could share it with y'all. You can barely see. There's there was a bruise right here. And it was the perfect size of somebody's. And I remembered in my dream when I woke up, I first looked at that and I went, what happened to my wrist? It's awful sore. And it wasn't until later in the day the bruise started appearing. Sorry, Margot's bumped, but she'll be back. Now she's ready again. Come on back, Margot. Where are you? Anyway, yeah, there you go. No, yeah, you're coming. Okay.
Yes.
So I noticed this bruise, and it was a perfect thumbprint. And I was like,
it was, guys. It was obviously
yeah.
a human thumb, not just a little oval. No, it was.
Yeah, it wasn't like I bumped my arm on something. It was, and it hurt. And I stopped and I thought back, and in my previous dream, the
I'm sorry.
The Mandela?
And Amy said Mandela effect, Margot. I went away and came back as something. I should have changed. Guys, I should have changed my shirt and done something different with my hair and said, sorry, show, what's going on?
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
But anyway. But what I remembered was
somebody grabbed you.
That someone had grabbed me while I was asleep. I mean, not while I was asleep, while I was in this other place. And so then a few nights later, I was sleeping and I was off visiting another place. And a guy grabbed my shoulder. Because it's like these people, I'm just supposed to kind of drift through and inspect things. And these people know I'm out of place. And they're like, I know you. And it's like they have an insight and they want to share. And I'm like, you need to go back to what you were doing. I can't stay. No, I want to talk to you. And they'll grab me. And this guy grabbed me and I jerked away. And in my mind, I was like, that's going to be sore tomorrow. And I woke up in the next morning and I thought it was the way I was had been sleeping. Because I woke up and I was like, dang, my shoulder hurts. And then I remembered the dream. And I was like, oh, come on. Within 24 hours, I had a handprint bruise up here on my shoulder. So I'm bringing these injuries back with me. One other thing I want to add to this. When I have these dreams, which are pretty frequent, it's affecting my sleeping patterns. And so I'll come home in the evenings, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I'll sit down to chill out for a few minutes and I can't stay awake. And it's miserable. And this has been going on for, over a year at least.
Wow.
With the sleeping patterns. And so I was talking to my doctor and I said, I'm still having these issues. And she had talked about referring me to a sleep study at one point. And I don't know if I want to do that. I said, let me do some of my higher meditation stuff and see what I can do. And for a while it helped. I just kind of let the universe know, okay, fine if I'm going to travel, but my body has to rest while I'm doing all this other shit off planet. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it would work for a while, but then it get back involved again, and and so I finally, I brought it up to her again, and she said, "Would you want me to refer you for the sleep study?" And I said, "I got to do something. Why not?" And she said, "Well, it'll probably take them a month or so before they get back to you." And I said, "That's fine. Hoping to hear before the end of the year because of new insurance and all that stuff. I want to get it off of this insurance." But what's interesting is for the past week or so, since I talked to her and since she's referred me, all of a sudden I'm doing better. I'm not as tired as I was. And it's like, okay, the
Manifesting
universe
beautifully.
got the message.
Time for a break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Dream state stuff is frequently visiting other dimensions and other realities, which is
well,
part
and
of what
talk
makes
about
them weird.
yours. You've told the story before, but I think it's fascinating where people that you've never met run up to you and go, "You're Margot."
Um, that's definitely multiple realities. About every 2 to 3 years, complete stranger will walk up to me in public, all flustered and blushing and stammering and grinning. Every time. They're all flustered, male, female, senior citizens, college age, teenagers, middle age, all kinds of people, all kinds of races. Um, about every 2 or 3 years will walk up to me and say, "This is going to sound strange. And I've never done this before." And at that point, I know what's coming. Because they always say some variation of that. And they're flustered and they're giggling and they're glowing and they're happy to see me. So it's not a threat of any sort for them to be that weird. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I'm open minded. Say what you need to say. And they always start off with you're Margot, aren't you? Or I know your name is Margot. You don't know me, but I know your name is Margot. Stuff like that. It's not like I have a typical name. It's not like my name is easy to guess, like Susan or Kelly or Cindy or something like that. Um, it's Margot. It's a little bit unusual, and they'll tell me that I'm Margot, and then they go on to always get a little flustered about, I feel silly about doing this, but I'm supposed to talk to you, and I'm like, yeah. And at that point, I tell them, you're not the first person to do this. Totally okay. Please, I want to hear what you have to say. And every single one of them talk about how a transparent version of me who has the same face and similar energy and obviously the same name, um, with a maternal energy to her and definitely female. Apparently, a transparent version of me essentially shows up in people's bedrooms and pulls them out of their sleep. And basically, like the three ghosts of Christmas or some shit, come up and say, "You're coming with me. We've got work to do." Yank. And sometimes I'm nice about it. Sometimes I'm playful about it. Sometimes I'm
Oh, she froze. Don't bump. Don't get bumped.
more aggressive about it.
Come on, Margot. Come on, you can do it. Come back. Where is she? She froze. Ah, y'all, this is frustrating. I know, but here we go. She's back. Wait a minute. All right.
3, 2, 1. There I am. Yeah, I live in a small town where internet's a little iffy. Sorry about that, guys.
It's your shirt, Margot. Said Amy.
That's true. I should have taken the op for that. But people always tell me that I go in there and I take them on a journey out in the cosmos or across time to heal old wounds, such as make up with their mother or their grandmother, or get closure on a failed marriage or a childhood trauma. But I take people into painful places and get closure on that shit. Shut it down, heal it, it's all love and good and people happy tears. And then I bring them back to their bedroom and tell them, go ahead and get back in your body. And I'm still standing there floating. And you almost all of them say I'm either transparent or I'm transparent with white drapes. But my face is exactly the same. And when I help them get back into their body, I'm not quite sure. I think it's just an energetic thing. I'm not sure how we're doing that, but it always makes them nauseated. They always get sick. Some of them get sick enough to wake up all the way. And of course, I'm gone at that point and they run to the bathroom. Other people just have a vague sense of nausea.
So they come up to you and go, "Hey, Margot, you make me sick."
Yeah, they do. That I know, and they've apologized for that. They're like, I don't mean to say that you make me sick, but I'm saying, like a roller coaster. And we slow down way fast. Yeah, and it makes humans nauseated when you decelerate or accelerate them too fast. And apparently that's what I do. And as my personal friend, Iris, you've had that social experience with me. Yes, I will shove you through the universe really fast. And you're one of the cool people who can keep up in private conversations, right? So anyway, that's a type of time traveling too that I'm not even aware of that always happens at night. Yeah, another dream state thing.
Sherry marked about your leaving and coming back just when you were getting to the juicy part.
Oh.
And Linda says, I've had
A few dreams
where I'm in a foreign place. Someone, usually a man, will talk to me in a very thick brogue accent, maybe Norse. I've never heard it in this life, but in the dream, I totally understand it and I respond in the same language. Yes. And Amy acknowledged her comment and said, yeah, that's really cool. I had that happen one time where I came into awareness of being in my dream. I was in the Black Forest, deep in the Black Forest. I knew that's where I was, but it was like it wasn't this time. I was talking to a druid type, very tall man in this dark brownish black robe with a big hood. And he had a long white beard, and he was talking, and it was like my awareness here came into my awareness there, and I was kind of watching as an outsider almost, because I was like right behind myself, and it was like I heard myself talking in this other language that I didn't, and he's talking to me, and it's like, and then suddenly I kind of joined myself and pulled myself back to my bedroom, and I woke up and I looked up, and this druid was standing in my bedroom where we had been talking. I had yanked him back with me, and he's standing there just like,
I love this one.
And I
What the
opened my eyes and I looked, and I went,
And he
no.
was there.
And I opened my eyes again, and he's still standing there with this
confused look.
And I said, I'm too tired. Just go back. And I went back to sleep.
Because that's normal.
Yeah.
in that transient state. Again, the word liminal state, liminal phase, liminal place comes back. Huge medicine, very powerful. Look it up. Liminal, liminal. It's used in psychology as well as philosophy. Lisa Clark talks about when I was a kid, I had very vivid dreams, running and fighting to the point that my mother would have to sleep in the same room. Yeah. Another example of it being brought into your current stuff. And Linda had a reaction. Sherry says, I once experienced different perspectives of an accidental shooting in a dream. I was the person walking up to a door. I was a person seeing a rifle inside the house fall inside the house, the rifle fall, I guess. I was the bullet bursting through the glass of the door and into the person walking up to it, who she was in the first round. That's fascinating. I mean, you're shifting consciousness through animate and inanimate objects. Sherry, that's so next level.
Yeah.
Yes, because actually all objects are animate. We just don't experience them that way in 3D consciousness. You'll learn more about that in 4 and 5D consciousness as you evolve. Everything has an awareness, and Sherry actually can be inside of it. I was told it was a form of service work to help people process their passing. Yes, that's one expression of it. Yeah, you're a healer. That doesn't surprise me one bit. That doesn't surprise me one bit. If you'd like to see a movie that really runs with this theory a lot and it's quite detailed, Inception. The movie Inception is an excellent illustration of how the dream state can be multiple realities and why and how it can. And in the movie, they use it for business purposes and corporate espionage. But that's just part of the plot. The philosophy behind it and the special effects. Excellent, excellent movie. Iris and I came up with other popular movies that feature time travel because time travel is another expression of multidimensional reality, as we have referenced several times already. We came up with a list in no particular order. Peggy Sue Got Married, Donnie Darko, The Lake House. That was Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The Time Traveler's Wife.
Love that movie.
Yes. Ashton Kutcher was in Butterfly Effect.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Frequency. That was about a boy who grew up to be a man talking to his dead father through a ham radio. Dennis
Jim
Quaid
Caviezel.
and Jim Caviezel. Premonition. Also, Somewhere in Time, they communicated through a mailbox. No, that was the Lake House.
No. Somewhere in Time was Jane Seymour and Christopher Reeves.
That's right. Past lives, clone. Yeah. You're right. Thank you. Back to the Future, Part 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
A very popular recent movie, Asian based. But it does have a lot of Western actors in it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. An excellent convoluted movie, but it's really cool about multidimensionality coming together into one reality. It's an illustration of that, and it's chaotic, and in the end, it makes sense. The movie Arrival. The whole movie is actually circular. If you didn't figure that out, the beginning of the movie is also the end of the movie, which is also the beginning of the movie. And there's more than one circle going on. Her and the Asian CEO that she talks to through the cell phone at the end, so on and so on. The journey of why the ETs were arriving on Earth in the first place. We are you 3,000 years from now, or was it 7,000? But anyway, check out the movie Arrival. That's another really great one with a lot of good actors. Children's books, Alice in Wonderland. That's changing from dimension to dimension, and she used children's forms of LSD like the author did. Drink me, eat me, little sodas and little cakes to make her big and small, and got her into other worlds. Alice in Wonderland, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Another children's book was written by Julie Andrews, and it's an excellent, best kept secret. It's called Last of the Really Great Wangdoodles. Last of the Really Great Wangdoodles. Fantastic children's novel that adults love reading too. Even when I was reading it as a kid, adults would have me read to them from that book and have me reread chapters. Julie Andrews was awesome writer. For books, adults that are into books too, Richard Bach, the author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which talks about interdimensional travel through the eyes of a bird. Well, that was when he was in his college days. As a middle-aged man and older, he wrote more books. Highly recommend the book called One. or a very popular one that I think Shirley MacLaine talked about as well, Bridge Across Forever, Bach, B-A-C-H. He is like the great great grandson of Johann Sebastian Bach. So,
Ah,
yep. And he's big into pilots and airplanes. And you see that a lot, but he explains it really well. He's a poet. He's very much a poet. And he's written his books are almost always funny. There's excellent humor everywhere, and they're a very relatable writer. Cloud Atlas. Yes, Cloud Atlas is another movie that goes across time and dimensions and how people reincarnate, which is something we mentioned earlier. Um, I am running to the end of my list of things to talk about relative to multiple realities. My point being, the reason that, well, our point really for bringing up all those movies, and wow, that's a long one,
yeah, I
bringing
know.
up all those movies and books was to give our listeners a grasp on the fact that you're not alone. You're not crazy. This is a normal state of human existence. And there are resources out there to give you another handle, another angle, another tool, another resource to grasp the fact that you are multidimensional and you can handle it. It just takes time to get used to it.
Deborah says,
You'll be all
this is
right.
really creepy. So often I wake
So,
up
what
from
you
a
got?
dream with relief, thinking, thank goodness that was only a dream. And now you're saying it's reality.
Not in this dimension, it's not reality, but in another one, yeah, it
and
is.
and and
Yeah.
Deborah, don't let it bother you too much. It's like, because it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I recognize when I'm going somewhere else. And before, I used to think I was just having weird dreams. And now I'm seeing patterns and things like that. So it's, take it for what it is and just enjoy the show.
Absolutely. Oh, 12
Amy,
Monkeys was another one.
yeah,
Yeah,
12
12
Monkeys,
Monkeys
Bill and
was
Ted's Excellent Adventure. Um,
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yes, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells is an old classic one for that.
Groundhog Day.
Ground. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that movie.
I do too.
Yeah.
Amy says, I was in Wilmington, North Carolina for a course and we went downtown. A group of us were walking up Front Street, and all of a sudden I was 100% in complete recognition of this place. I said, oh my gosh, I used to live here. My friend said, I thought you'd never been to Wilmington. My response was, not I, this body, and proceeded to go into a house and show my friend where they hid the slaves for the Underground Railroad. An elderly lady tapped me on my shoulder and said, can I help you? I was then back in my body in this time period and said, I'm sorry, I need to go. She then said, how did I know that this is where slaves were hidden? I told her I used to live in this house. She then said, there's no way possible. This house has been in my family for over 150 years. I said what my name was, and she said that her great grandmother's best friend, a daughter of a slave that tended to the family in the main house. I then said, I am very sorry to have bothered you. That event catapulted me to start diving into this journey deeper. So yeah, that is really cool. And talk about affirmations.
Cue the Twilight Zone music.
Coherence is a
Good
fun movie. I
job,
don't
Amy.
want to spoil with a summary, but it's on topic. So Coherence, we'll have to look at that one.
Coherence, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then Interstellar
Interstellar.
is is that a visualization of the
Of the
Akashic Record?
Akashic Record. Yeah, there's a little bit of time travel in that, and that he looks through the the interstellar matrix that becomes the Akashic Record to see himself and his daughter trying to understand, and he was trying to communicate across space and time, and the computers get involved. It's awesome. Yes, Interstellar is fantastic. Matthew McConaughey starred in that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Topher
So
Grace as well. Yeah.
yeah, so there's lots. Amy says what? Oh,
In
what
what
movie?
movie? Her first statement was "I in," and then in what movie?
I don't
Amy,
know.
we've a bunch of movies. Recaps. Peggy Sue Got Married, Donnie Darko, The Time Machine, 12 Monkeys, The Lake House, Time Traveler's Wife, Butterfly Effect, Frequency, Premonition,
Oh,
Somewhere in Time,
Interstellar.
Interstellar. Okay.
That's the one.
Somewhere
Yeah, I think she was
Back to
trying
the
to
Future,
say
Everything
Interstellar.
Everywhere All at Once. Coherence is another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna our time's coming to a close, but
Thank you for
hopefully
listening. We got a little bit more. Fire away, ours.
Okay. So, coming up, I'll type all them in if you can. Yeah, well, I'll do that. I'll add it to the comments. So we have changed
The show for next week.
Yeah, for next week. And it's called Ghost Stories. And I'll tell you what more about that in just a second. But then the next week, right before Christmas, the Wednesday before Christmas, we're going to do psychic readings. And then on the 27th, you get to hear about me. It's the path taken and my journey and some things that have come into play and reasons I've changed some things and how I made changes. Yeah. So, but this for next week, we changed it because Margot can't be with us next week. She's got a lot going on and just can't. It's going to be too much for her. Do what? Did I lose her again? She froze, I think. Anyway, so what we're doing is I'm going to have my daughter and hopefully son-in-law come on. They've had a lot of experiences both independently and together. And and plus my daughter remembers things that happened with us that I've forgotten. And so we're going to share mutual stories and they're going to share some of their own stories. And we hope that maybe you'll have some stories that you'll want to share as well. So it's just going to be kind of a fun ghost story night, if you will. So yeah. What were you saying, Margot? Because you broke up at one point.
Or you're going to be. Yeah.
Did I finish? I
won't be. Yeah, I won't be on that one. I'll be taking care of some family business, and I'm not sure where I'm going to be by Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate the gentle shift, guys. We'll do that topic another day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, real quick, Heal the Healer.
Yes. March 21st, the 21st through the 24th at Emerald Isle, North Carolina. It's on tell them where it is, Margot. I'm going to look up the cost.
It's on Emerald Isle at Trinity Center, which is a nature preserve, nature conservancy, right beside the North Carolina Aquarium. Guys, come hang out with Margot and Iris in person.
Yes.
Yeah. If you think we're interesting online, you should hear it when we're uncensored in person. Because, yeah. And we've got interesting speakers, not just us. We also have interesting artists and healers that are vendors. And the price of admission includes your room, private bath, and all the meals.
Yes.
As well.
And for
and three fires, circle fire drum circle things. One a night.
Yeah. And we'll also have multiple sessions during the day. A total of 19 different
activities.
Yeah. And the rate for somebody who is for one person in a double occupancy room is $590. And if you are a person that wants to be all by yourself in a room, it is $780. So $590 a person for double occupancy, $780 for standard. And that price is good until February 16th, and then it'll go up.
They asked for the link.
The link is iriscarter.com, myname.com, and there's my name if you need to know how to spell it, .com. And when you go to it, there's a menu in the upper left corner. Very top one is Heal the Healer Summit. Click that and it gives you all the information and the registration form and all that good stuff. And we're selling t-shirts too. if you're interested in getting a t-shirt, even if you can't make the event, you can get a t-shirt. Just let me
They're
know.
very cool.
I think I've got it working, but if it doesn't work right, just send me an email and let me know. So, yeah, and I'll put the link in the comments too, along with the names of the movies.
And if you're interested in being a vendor, that information is on there too.
Yes.
Yeah. Share the magic. Yeah.
Right. So, all right. I think that covers us for tonight. We will be back again next week at 9:30 and look forward to seeing y'all again there. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Namaste. Bye.
Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.